Hey everybody, I'll wait for you to filter in. I want you to see the beautiful landscape that is Seattle right now. Let's flip this around. So currently, I don't know if you guys remember what I can see from my house, but it's usually, so you can see part of a hill here and another part. There are three more hills past that. There's also another hill past this, and then blue sky usually. Instead, today we've got, I can't even explain how smoky it is. I mean, that's the sun. I can look right at it. It doesn't hurt my eyes at all. I know I'm not going to do that for long, but I'm just saying it is smoky. It's the smokiest they have ever recorded here in Seattle. So I wanted to talk a little bit about wildfires and what they do for ecology. And then I'll show you some new stuff that's in my tanks. And I will also show you guys so I'll show you some new stuff in my tanks. I will talk about wildfire ecology and fish. And then we're going to, oh, did I mention it's like 90 degrees too? So it's really delightful here. And everything's orange. If I flip around and show you guys, like everything has this tint of orange to it from the fires. Um, so yeah, and it smells like a campfire. So, real quick, I wanted to point out one thing that I learned before we get on to anything else, and this is discussing this little bit of science, a little bit of history, a little bit of both. So, you guys probably know that that's bladderwort, the little chainy things that grow in your tank all over the place sometimes. They can infest your tank quickly, and they have these little pods growing on them, right? So, trivia of the day, bladderwort, those little pods, if we can zoom in, let's see here. The little pods are touch sensitive Venus flytraps. You see the little whiskers at the top? So, those pods will actually trigger, those hairs will trigger when a small creature, and supposedly like rainbow fry and some fish, supposedly Gareth Doyle, hello, 2:15 in the middle of the night and you can't sleep. Well, welcome. I'm glad you're with us if you're not in your dreams. But so I was just saying that these bladderworts, there's actually like, I don't know, 300 and some varieties of bladderwort, and some of them have fairly good sized pods. Like this pod right here is real big. So, and they eat fish, baby fish, in theory. But they usually eat little critters in your, are basically mini crustaceans, and they will eat baby shrimp. I have seen it. I've seen lots of videos of it sent to me in groups. And basically, I just wanted to share that with you. Also, interestingly enough, while we're talking about history and science, bladderwort is unlike a tomato plant, you would say. Yes, I would say. But it's actually related to a tomato plant. 60 million years ago, it branched off. And 150 million years ago, flowering plants in general, and it actually has a nice yellow little flower if you let it flower out of the water. But it was going down the nightshade family, and it branched off into bladderworts. Has a common ancestor, I should say. It's not like a tomato is what it evolved from. But the DNA in a tomato is 80% useful and 20% redundant or useless. And in bladderwort, the DNA is 3% useful, 97% useless, and just gibbledy jabbledy gook, or we don't understand it. That's probably likely too. But it seems as though Alan, yep, I got panda loaches here. We'll go downstairs and check out the colony. There's just two in here. I'm testing out how they do with the bigger fish. I just, don't want to beat them up while they're little. But, so trivia of the day, bladderwort even though you may not think of it as a carnivorous plant, it is both a pest plant that grows everywhere. It can grow from one little piece, so I'm never going to get it out of this aquarium now. That's basically the way it is. I let it grow till it's long enough, and I try to like pull clumps out. And it will eat microscopic crustaceans, plankton, and also eat things like Daphnia. That's what it's designed to eat is Daphnia, honestly. Things that size and smaller. So the more you know, bladderwort, lots of useless DNA, and it eats critters in your tank. Just thought I'd share that with you guys. So, like the title says, smoked out edition. I wanted to talk a little teeny bit about it just because I was curious, and so I did some research on it. And let's see here. I have one more thing to show you guys, as we let people filter in to the impromptu live stream. So you guys can probably see how smoky it is, hazy, everything. I look orange, kind of. Connection, but all my fish got eaten out here. So, and even the net I had out here had the center ripped out. What was it? I waited because they came back the next night. It was baby raccoons. I'm gonna go back in. I hope I don't lose you guys here, but I just thought I'd share that update with you. And so fire, we've got fire all around us here in the Pacific Northwest, and we've got fire. We have a weather pattern here in Seattle that is set up that never sets up here. It's like super rare that it ever is like this. But we have a low pressure trough down low by the, and I'm gonna just film the newest tank here while I chat with you guys. So we have a low pressure trough, and basically all the fires north, south, east, and west of us, the smoke is coming right into Seattle, and we're just getting hammered by unsafe levels of smoke. Like it's categorized it as unhealthy for all populations. Stay indoors. We've got like all these alert warning things. So, which made me think fires are part of the natural world. Lightning starts them, things like that. Yeah, Alan, this fire thing, it's no joke. I mean, we've had wildfires in the past. We have them every year, but this year I've never seen such epically thick smoke. Like at one point in the middle of the night, visibility was down to 0.2 miles. So what is that? Let's see here, like 1,000 feet or 800 feet or something like that. So that's pretty bad for fires that are burning 1,000 or 2,000 miles away. But a lot of people are on inhalers and oxygen and various things, steroids, oral steroids, wearing masks and bandanas dipped in water. I'm seeing around town too today. So, but in any case, I wanted to share that with you. And as we're down here, I noticed that there's bladderwort down here. How did it get here? Well, I took plants from upstairs and put them in here, and that's what happened. So, yeah, Alan, if you lived in Bellingham, I know you've survived a lot of smoke. We all have. So, let's see. This tank is coming along pretty good. You don't see it, and it kind of bugs me, but there's an entire back row of really nice plants that are growing in nice and thick, all up here, and you really don't see them. It just looks kind of brown. So hopefully that changes. This beautiful blue lady here, she's so blue and shiny, I can't even show you how pretty she is. Let's see if we can get the focus to, see if we can play with the focus on the phone to get it to show you the blueness a little better. It's like a nice powder blue, and these are dwarf gouramis in this tank, Betsy. And I got 3 of them. They can be a little touchy. You see that little feeler she has, that whisker underneath her, coming out of her pectoral area. That is for her to feel with and taste and smell, kind of thing. And she, a lot of times, you'll see at night, they put that forward like a walking stick. These gals know they are the top dogs in the tank right now, along with the SAE. SAE is slacking on his job in this tank. So I'll say real quick so you can observe them while we talk a little bit about wildfires, and then we'll go on to answering questions, looking at tanks if you guys are curious, and talking the talk, walking the walk. Also, I want to try to set Betsy up as a mod, and I'm looking at like all the settings on here, and I don't really have any settings on here other than like I can play with the fish and make it look like a 90s Beck video. But I wonder if like this would actually show texture better in certain situations. That is not helping me. I wonder if there's a filter that actually shows, you know, like this actually, where was it? This one, I think? This one. This kind of shows the blue of the fish a little better, but it doesn't let you see the reflectiveness of that beautiful blue as well. But back to normal. No settings for Betsy. Oh, wait. No settings. Sorry. Betsy would be the mod, though. So, let's see. Can I get out of that now? Yeah, there we go. Okay. I'll have to play with it on the desktop. I want to get some software so that you guys can see the questions streaming through better, and like the viewer can on the side of the screen. I don't know if you've seen Bob Steamfot's streams and stuff, kind of like that. And so super chats are viewable differently, stuff like that. But in any case, I'm going to tell you real quick what I've done to this tank. Today was a depressing day in that I got my quote for how much damage the lightning did. It cracked 21 teeth is the final total, with everyone's second opinions. Yeah, click the 3 dots. I don't get anything other than share, enable flash, or mute microphone. Gareth, that's the only thing I get. So yeah, I think it must have to be on the laptop while you're streaming. So, oh no, it's all good. This is why I always chit chat the first part of the live stream, is to kind of get things, get everybody in, and also, you know, if people are watching, flipping through channels and they're like, oh, what is this video? It's something like trivial or something like that. Usually at the beginning might catch their attention. But in any case, so in a little bit here, I will open it up for questions on anything you guys have. I mean, you can still ask and I might answer if I see it. But this week I've done this. I've added a lot more plants to the tank. Hopefully that will help with the algae. In fact, I know it will help with the algae. I've trimmed down all the plants that are in the tank and replanted, so there's more. I've added fancy plecos from another tank into this tank, 2 females. I need to rehome them because I've got another pair. And then I've added some big old stones to recreate, since there's so many cories in here. These 2 cories both hail, at least part of their range hails from an area with rocks and sand in between. But with this Amazonia, I didn't want to cap it off to the point where it had no use and I'm just having a sandbox all over again. So I basically have used just some light pea gravel I got at Home Depot, and then free rocks that I found. Not enough cories, you mean? Best fish ever. I agree. These little panda cories are adorable. I bought them with their parents, and actually I got them for free with their parents. And I also got these stir-bys, which I bought after I went to the dentist to get, I guess, depressed. So afterwards, my mom, sweet lady, thanks, Mom, if you watch this, which you don't, uh, she she drove me by because I still can't drive because of my vision and legal stuff after lightning. Um, but why is this so friggin'? Hold on, let me try to clean the lens just a tad because it looks so washed out, and I'm trying to figure out why you guys are experiencing the washed out tank look. That's a little bit better. So there's still some algae on the inside. I clean it daily, but that's how quick it's growing right now. But the plants are growing like crazy too. So basically in here, let's feed them. That'll get them up front. That'll get them to you guys, and then we can chat forest fire because that is the theme right now. Can't escape it. It makes you feel like crud and all that schnaz. But so I went to the dentist. What did he say? The dentist said you're broke. He said that basically, Alan, I like that. I try to be responsible with my quarries in that, like, I used to always put a bunch of quarries in like a 10-gallon. I'd put like 10 in there, and then I'd put fish up top and kind of make it crazy. And that actually works okay because they don't have a huge bio load, especially certain like pandas or small ones. But I don't love what it does to the fish in the long run. In a in a 10-gallon they just get grumpy and stunted and so on and so forth. But so right now I'm trying to grow this stargrass. It's growing lots of algae. I've just been manually removing it. The SAE is doing nothing. He's useless. You are useless, you algae eaters. So are the little ones. All super useless fish in this tank for some reason. Upstairs they were great. The pleco babies are doing well. But basically, I'll be cleaning probably tomorrow because I need to do a bunch of water changes too. But I did all the plant trimming and so forth, adding rocks. So I added in here total, we have hatchet danios. They're new. So we got 5 hatchet danios in here. They're orange, and then they have purple iridescence to them. They're full grown. And then Tracy Lee, thank you so much, sweetheart. And then we've got obviously the beautiful, which I've had so much as a child. I had them and a teenager. I had so many different gouramis, like sunset yellow gouramis and powder blue, and then the male and female, and they're always so violent. But if you keep these dwarf blue powder blue dwarf females alone, like with no males, they're about as nippy as like a barb or some of the nippy tetras. They're not bad. They're not gonna like they're not quick enough to rip a fin off very well. But Alan, thank you very much about the comment on this tank. I am really trying to make it a tank that is usable in all the areas. Trying to really encourage in this tank. Shrimp, Jess, how's it going? Welcome. Drive safe while you're listening. I'm really trying to encourage the schooling fish to move here, the topwater fish obviously to move freely amongst things, and then the quarries, the 2 different types. So we've got quarry, these are new, and they are the Corridora stirby, and they're adorable. And there's 5 of them in here, and then there's 10 panda quarries, and there are I think 4 adults, and the rest are like juveniles. Scottish Aquatics, what's up, man? How's it going? I'm talking better. I slept most of the day, so I got my mind and my voice here, so I was like, let's do this live stream. It's a smoky live stream today. So that about sums it up. Plus we've got the Brazilian pencilfish, which you are not going to see again because they're out of Brazil. They're not that special, but they have a nice red color and a yellow stripe, just a little bit different patterning than you see in the Peruvian ones and Guianan ones from Guyana ones. And Scott from Scottish Aquatics is in here. Hello, buddy. Yeah, clean tanks are never that clean. And also, fish don't like super clean tanks. I've got SAEs in here and plecos and cories. They want to be eating stuff. But the algae is kind of out of control down here. So tomorrow, I'm really going to work on, oh, you better be eating the algae. That better be what you're up to, SAE. That's why I got you. Yeah, I would love to come scape with you and just, I'd love to come film with you, man. And this is a weird tank. I haven't even begun to work on the immersed plants that can all sit on these ledges and grow out of the tank. That's the whole idea. Mr. Dablina, hello. Yeah, Scottish Aquatics, check his channel out. He's got some beautiful discus and stuff like that. But yeah, this tank is really designed to make the most of the space, even though I eliminated 30% or 25% of the volume. Right now there's two counteracting. One's turned way down and the spout's lower. But basically I'm getting circulation this way and this way with where the heater is and everything. Oh, Alan, dude, thank you, man. I appreciate that. I actually literally need some live blackworms. Yes, I do. Bentley, what's up, lurker, dude? How's it going? So what I was going to talk about were the wildfires. So I'm going to film this for a little bit longer, and then I'll show you some other critters that are new from some shrimp and some baby rainbows and that kind of stuff. I'll film while we're chatting. So if you have questions, please get them ready. And Alan, you know what, man? I really appreciate that super chat. Means a lot. I'm on here today because honestly, I like, you know, it's an impromptu thing, but I wanted to just chat with you guys and hear your ideas and thoughts and just get mine out and think about something other than all the medical stuff. I've literally had an appointment every day except for yesterday. No, that's not true. And basically, it's just, you know, I just got a huge dental bill. It's 21 teeth that the lightning did crack. Probably 16 are like, they're going to break apart soon. Or they did. Like, I'm missing them down into my jaw. So, but I find it interesting that these quarries have all these choices, and they're all working out in the rocks, which supposedly hurt their barbels, but they seem to be doing fine. So, go figure. But yeah, so I got the gouramis so that they would kind of scare, because they can be a little aggressive, like I said, so that they would scare the danios. I have not looked into it, Gareth, and I was just talking to Alan about it, and I was thinking about setting up just live stream in general, how I do it. I wanted to kind of tweak it a bit, but I will look into that. But basically, oh, there's both of them. I kind of set this up in the future. This is for the future. This is for shrimp fry. I want them to be able to hide in the margins. Marginalized fry. There's some boosts and stuff hiding in the shadows a bit. And then, yeah. What else was I gonna say? Oh, right. I was talking about wildfires. So here in the Northwest, I actually have some firsthand experience on I guess wildfires and salmon. So the streams around here in the Northwest are basically hardwood, what do you want to call it? Deciduous trees? Is that the right word? Coniferous, sorry guys. Evergreen trees. Evergreen state, evergreen trees with deciduous hardwood, like oaks, maples, alders, birch, dogwood, that kind of stuff. Thanks, Tracy. Um, and because of that, those trees that burn really easy, Manuel, welcome. Hello. Because they burn easily, they are usually down in the wetland areas of our like valleys and farms and stuff like that, where the farms are and things like that, and watersheds that flood. And so you get grass below that, but really it's eastern Washington in our area that burns like crazy. Like, but the last few years we've been burning everywhere in the state. It's been so hot in the summers here, like it never used to be. And so you've got those trees, and they're holding back soil, just like this hillside in here. Actually, come to think of it, I built myself a prop. So you've got a hill, and the roots are what's holding back all that stuff from sliding down. And so the bigger trees put in deep roots and they'll hold things in. Now you've got your bedrock and your other stuff there, and pretend that this gravel is a stream bed. So as those trees burn, silt can move into the water, and that's bad when they burn like that. That's a hot fire when it burns like that. But around here, if left to its natural devices, and this is true in a lot of ecosystems, including the Amazon and things, you actually get, hold on, let me turn things off. You actually get like an undergrowth. Australia, this is true as well. You get an undergrowth of bushes that are much more flammable than the trunk of an old evergreen tree or a huge oak tree or something like that. And so those get charred, and the lower branches might burn for a sec, but the roots stay in the ground as long as it's not an epic, really hot fire that is burning because it's a monoculture of trees. So like in the Peruvian jungle, there's so many different kinds of trees and things that some will withstand it, some won't. The fire will burn on the ground and in the treetops, and only the worst fires burn in the treetops. So most years, that underbrush gets burned, and by lightning strikes and things like that, it starts in a lot of ecosystems, same around here. And what that does is that puts ash into the lakes, the rivers, the watershed, but the ground is still held, so there's not so much silt. So as long as it's not a really bad fire, and humans have made this issue worse, and this is why people fighting for salmon streams to be saved, it matters about the wildfires, because if we have cut down the trees and just replanted pine trees or fir trees all right next to each other, and they're all the same kind of tree, when that burns, or if they're all alder trees, when that burns, they'll all just burn like a, crumpled newspaper in a big long line. It all evenly burns. Whereas having that varied forest allows things to burn at different rates. So much so that in firefighting here, they have like the top burn rate, which is like the trees and what the wind is blowing. And then they also have the burn rate of what is burning in the brush. But then the last thing is the burn rate of the old growth logs and things like that, which can smolder for a long time. But what that does is that makes activated carbon. It makes charcoal. And that works its way down into the rivers. And, if it burns a little bit hardcore and some of it washes in, then that is actually okay if it only happens in some areas. It takes the oxygen and depletes it down in the water, and it actually raises the carbon, which is good for the plants, and it can actually take what do you call it? It can take some of the toxins out of the water. By the way, the fancy green pleco is out in the open, so I just thought I'd show her the long tail. And so that activated carbon can help reverse some of the things we've done to the fire, or to the ecosystems. Now, The interesting thing about wildfires, though, especially in like the Amazon, is those burnt logs and snags and roots that have slid into the water, no matter what kind of fire it is, those sit underwater and they act as a sink, like a trap, like a heat sink, if you know that term. And it is actually worse than last year, officially today in Seattle, Vexit Cat. Um, the carbon level is higher in our air right now. If you can see, it's orange, dusty looking light coming through my house, and it is rated not safe for anyone. Uh, it's so hazy, it's leaving a film on things. It's really, really bad. It it's the worst I've ever seen it, and that has been proven by, I guess, the scientists, so to speak. A lot of that problem is because of a crazy. Alan, I have a video on how numbers work in the plecos naming world. You asked how Corridora's numbers work. Real similar. Visit that video and check it out. If you go back into my videos, I've got a longer video on the naming of plecos. Same deal with Corridoras. It's basically the bottom line is it is because they have collectors and hobbyists have been finding new fish faster than science has been naming them. And so, as a bookmark, a German organization, which now is an international organization, started doing things so that you could mark where you found it and where it came from for big loads of them, and at least call it something for the time being. Also, I wanted to make a cute announcement. Oh no, Vex and Cat, totally. I wasn't trying to downplay that either, but I'm just telling you that if you're down in Portland, I almost bet you anything that tomorrow or later tonight they'll have also registered that what's it called, that the forest fires are worse than you've ever seen them there either. Here's another fancy pleco. This is one I got from Jay in my club. He moved with everything he's got. We've got a lot of female blue endlers. The ones that I've created, they're the Japanese blue with the rainbow leopard endlers. I know the glare is really bad, so it's not even worth filming. And then I've got some snake skin red deltas from Dean Tweedle, master fish breeder. They're hanging out in here. And then the RU2s are still up here. I need to pull their mop out and see what they've left me for eggs. As for other eggs, I'm trying two different methods. One is using sterile cotton and water, distilled water. The other is using... Oh, I think I see something. I might have spooked it. Is there a baby fish in here? I see a baby fish. So we've got some RO2s that have hatched in here. Let's get him out of here and get him into his new home. Did he? I think he jetted straight for the bottom. But as I was saying, with the fires, when you have those big, massive wildfires, like in the Amazon or in Africa, in the Congo and things like that. By the way, Venezuela, like the Orinoco River, where a lot of these quarries are from, they have wildfires frequently, even though it's so wet and everything, because the lightning there happens like 300 days a year. It's insane. There's a spot in Venezuela that's 310 days of lightning on average a year, and I think that fish swam back into right there and is hiding, or is... Oh, never mind. I see him. He's in here. Alright. Let's get him out. Can we get him out this way? Come on. Alright, I might need two hands for this. But as I was saying, the activated charcoal, let's see what we have here. There's one baby that I see, but there's eggs in here. So babies in there. This tank I don't use prime in at all because it's got my shrimp. I use either aged water, or I add distilled water. This was probably what you saw, Betsy. It's eggs waiting to hatch in the cotton. So, or not cotton. It's filter floss. So, there you go. I need a better system. I need to make some airline, like glue some airline around here so these float better. Do I have it up there? No, I still don't have it. I used to have it on a bunch of them because it works so well. I don't like using prime with my shrimp anymore because I found out with the rainbow fish, it inhibits their eggs from hatching. Now, shrimp have a lot of problems notoriously. The Caridina, anyways, have notorious problems shedding and then dying, getting caught and dying in that process. And so I thought, how can I eliminate that issue? And basically have experimented. And what's the plant on the left? This guy, it's actually a sword fern that is old and extremely malnourished, I believe. Wait, is it? No, never mind. That's not what that is. That is, what it, might be a crypt. I'm sorry, Alan. I can't remember. My brain does not remember. This is the crypt. Never mind. Yeah, it is a sword fern of sorts. I want to say. I don't know. I feel like it was a sword fern, and it's been in a really dull, lit, no nutrient shrimp tank forever, and so it just hasn't grown. I've never trimmed anything in here. I actually have to throw stuff in here other than the Sawassertong and the Marimo moss algae balls. Over here, same deal. Anubias won't grow. Everything just kind of stays equal. Now, in more exciting news, my yellow Neocaridina, she's given birth to a bunch of baby shrimp. She still has a couple left, it looks like. And then there's other Neocaridina. As you know, I keep them mixed sometimes in between litters. And then I pull the babies out when they're yay big and put them upstairs. It just gives them an extra month or so in this 5-gallon tank. Gives them an extra month or so to bulk up and then try to survive the fish onslaught. Also, we have these weird snails. I don't know what the morph would be called, but they're like a purplish color. And then their shells are see-through. And they morphed from my gold albinos. They're gold with a bright red and peach color flesh. So, odd that was the morph, but it was. Then, here we have Caridina shrimp. I've discussed other videos how I keep Neocaridina and Caridina together. We've got, these are from Flip Aquatics, which there is a code to... if you're trying to buy them. Here's a Babalti shrimp right here, green Babalti. I thought they were all dead in my tank, and lo and behold, I have 4, possibly 5 confirmed still living, and I'm hoping they make a rebound if I just ignore them. This tank seems to do best when I don't fidget with it, and I feed it less than more. Like, I feed it every few days rather than every day. Let's see, what else? Lots of blue babies. These are from LRB Aquatics. Lucas, he's the man. Hooked me up with these Blue Dream strain. And then the little teeny fishies in there, that's the biggest size that's in there right now, that are probably 3 weeks old, are rainbow fish. They are Aru, so they're Pseudomagil, Gertrude, Aru 2 fish. I can show you the adults in just a second. But they're real teeny. They're born really teeny. And then there's also Pandagaras, or Pandaloches, my bad, in here. And there's a newborn shrimp. That shrimp was born like yesterday. And this little loach is maybe a 1/4 inch long. He's so teeny. Let's try to get my finger in there. So he is the size of my pinky finger. Yeah, I got these I got these loaches for a pretty good price. I got them for $14, but I used trade credit, trading in a bunch of my green dragons and then also some of these loaches. Or not these loaches, these shrimp. And then also we've got red wine or red panda coals here. They are like that burgundy red Caridina shrimp. These are from Flip Aquatic. 100 of them would look awesome, but at $30 a pop normally, it would be very expensive. I do really like them. I have not kept them before, so this is a first for me. But I am trying to set them up for success, and I think if I get rid of the Caridina shrimp out of this tank, if I consolidate all my Caridina, I could still keep the blue Neocaradinas, bump up the TDS quite a bit and the pH up to like a 7, and that would emulate their water, and I could potentially try to breed some. But right now the pH is most likely too low because of this Tupperware tub full of pH lowering Brightwell shrimp aqua soil. And nobody's making babies lately. Like, the babies have hatched. There were a bunch of pregnant females. And now nobody's getting pregnant the last month or so. But there was like a whole group of like 10 that were pregnant at the same time, and I had a ton of babies, and they're kind of growing a little slower than I would like, but it might just be that the tank is a little hot. I was keeping them cooler, and the tank is pretty warm just because of how things are. I am trying to figure out how to breed them. Don't you worry. It is one of my projects while I sit at home, and I will guarantee anyone on my Patreon, anyone who's ever super chatted, that kind of stuff, y'all will get first cracks at it. The only thing is that these little guys, and I do have a female, there's like, when you look straight down at them, there's a teardrop shape. And I have 6, by the way, that is kind of, it's kind of like plecos. Like, the males have a bigger head and skinny back tail, whereas the females are more of a long, evenly paced, normal body. Less teardrop shaped. And then there's also, when they get older, the males usually get to be a little bit less dull of a tan color. Like, the white turns a little creamier and the black turns a little grayer on the females usually. I mean, it can happen on both, or they can stay totally black and white. I've seen both. But the norm is to not be quite as extreme as you're seeing right here. Like, this guy's getting old enough that you can kind of see he's not quite vivid black and white. He's still really cool, but he's not as extremely black and white as the one back in here that's like white as a piece of paper and black as night. Like, this guy's getting older too, or this gal. This one's the female. So yeah, and then I should mention, so this is how I've been feeding the Aru2s. I've been feeding them golden pearls, which are, you can buy them online. I've been using a syringe. I volunteer at a needle clinic, or I used to, for like homeless people to get them medical care and housing and mental health things. But I literally take the needle tip. So I don't know if you can see this. Can you see this? And I dip it in the water, And then I just go like this. And kind of suspend it. And I do that about 3 times usually with the golden pearls, because it's real easy to overfeed them. And I can kind of tap some off, but let's see if we can catch this on video. But they have like an oily substance to them that, let's see here. I'll try one more time and then they're gonna be full. And be careful if you use a needle. Well, one, you might have some questions. My wife had some questions at first. But they, they're sharp, obviously. And you can plug up the needle if you ever need to use it with something, for something actually like putting water in a little tray. But I like working with these little nano creatures so much that the needles have actually surprisingly come in handy quite a bit. Also to get, I'll take hydrogen peroxide, and if it's in like a shrimp tank and say there were blackbeard growing here, I use this kind of needle in the tank to really specifically inject that in there so that it doesn't disturb everything. Over in this tank, they're in the Devon tank. Thank you so much. Let's see. Even if they were very plain looking, yeah, totally, Alan. I love the panda loaches. So I must say the panda loaches. I mean, this is a 10-gallon, and you can see how super teeny the panda loaches are. Like, you don't see them if you didn't know they were in there and you're not looking for them. And the Devon tank is actually going to get a remodel soon. Because it's kind of silty from just shrimp pooping. See all the blue shrimp, the blue bolts that were sent to me. Wow, that looks like a little skull, that rock back there. That's creepy. All the blue bolt shrimp are all chilling in the corner and under leaves and stuff. We should start a loach fan club. I agree. That's fine with me. Also, you know what's funny? So, see these cholla wood pieces that I put plants in the end of? So, the cholla wood is like yay big. I think they were like 8-inch pieces when I got them. And these, oh, by the way, the loaches do a great job of cleaning the glass. And somehow, I don't know why they know it. Maybe it's because sunlight comes this way. But they've cleaned this front glass really well first. And it just makes these shrimp look friggin' massive compared to the loaches. Like, even Neocaridina shrimp look massive. Like, compared to the little loaches. Like, let me get one in the frame. Here's one with the shrimp. You see it scurrying around. The shrimp, literally, I've seen it chase them off. Like, they're like, oh, not today. Not today, Loach. I don't have time for you. So in here, as I was talking earlier about fires, wildfire smoke. So in a tank like this one, where I have Tatia catfish. I have, what else do we have in here? We've got, and you notice a lot of stuff's floating. It's because I realized the Tatia catfish, at night, they want to hang out in the reeds of stuff. They want to be right up here about an inch under the water and ambush stuff at night. And I've kind of set it up so they can do that. And then I've also used balls of yarn, and not so much as spawning nets even, but just as a super dense place for the Julii corridora to hide. And what's adorable to me, and let's see if I can do it without getting attacked. Last time I got splashed by the male here, who I'm naming something related to rhinos at some point. But there were baby... man, you can see how dirty my tanks are. Sorry, guys. More bladderwort. You can look at his barbels. They're so... or onodontodes. They're so massive right now. He's got such an impressive set of them. Also, you can see the other catfish, the what do you want to call it? Oh, there's a green bean that they ate. Sorry guys, my brain. Tatia, mosaic catfish. But back in here, I don't know if you guys can see all the babies. There are tons of babies in the rocks with all those snails. And he has been guarding the entrance to that. But, and the fish are eating my hands. Weird. So I'm going to close this again because he's doing a good job of protecting, because what's going on is essentially the fish now, the corridoras, this is a new little trick that I didn't know would work, but I put a big old yarn mess here. Here's the Tatia catfish running off. Put a big yarn mess here near, see the Julii corridors are trying to get back under it. Near the cave, near this cave, and their babies then rush into that cave when they're young, because there isn't really very good parental care by Corydoras, and they hide with the baby plecos. So the big pleco dad guards with his body these Julii babies, which is pretty cool. And so I've actually raised up a couple Julii babies, and they are stinking adorable as all get out. And so I'm trying to find one, but I'm not going to press the issue if I don't see one handy, because they hide pretty well. Obviously, they're babies that know that they're at the bottom of the food chain, so to speak. But it's a nice trick. If you've got corridoras and you haven't ever seen babies from them, try using some green or brown or whatever blends in with your tank. Some spawning mop, make it up. I used 150 strands here and then just tied it at the top with a rock in it, and just basically tucked it back behind some real plants, and it's way thicker than the real plants, and it just provides a nice area. The baby corridoras under there. One of them is, and the other ones I would be willing to bet are probably all back in here somewhere. But they look just like the adults, except they're... Oh, there we go. Oh, no. Sorry, I scared him just by talking. Alright, guys, so get ready. You might see him. The baby that I just spooked out. Come back out, please. Oh, there we go. Well, he's running. There are actually now more babies than I thought there were. But they're still really scared, and I don't know why at this size they're scared. They're pretty safe at this size. But they are... There we go. Can you guys see it? There we go. Well, and it went back under with the pleco. But... there, it was proof. You guys saw the baby. So, that's good. Also, LRB Aquatics, Lucas Brett sent me some red shrimp. They're chilling in this tank, doing well, getting fat and sassy. RU2s, those little teeny fish down at the bottom. They're up here. That's not an RU2. That's a guppy. The guppies are bold enough to leap. And actually, I leave the water level really low in this tank because RU2s can jump like they're in the Olympic team or something. Like, they're nuts. So the RU2s, I need to make sure there aren't more. The other fish really eat the babies badly, or eat the eggs badly. But no, the males, and see the bottom's all molmy where there's rocks down here, and that is because, and I mentioned the cholla wood that used to be 8 inches long. Well, when you put pleco babies with it, the adult pleco breaks off the end, the babies just chew it around, and every day this tank has to be gravel vacked just a few pumps at least, because the Cory, albino Cory, Aeneas, uh, yeah, they go to town on it. So, all right, guys. Well, so wildfires making. I'm gonna wash my hands, by the way. Wildfires making activated carbon. Also hiring and lowering just a variance in the oxygen level in rivers, and also bringing more of that wood and thus tannins into the rivers. And a lot of these areas are already high tannic regions, and then that carbon in the water can bond to make carbon that's usable by plants, and for corridoras, catfish, things that live in the mud. It's great for them, as long as they're not oxygen starved. But a lot of fish, like especially in Southeast Asia, a lot of the fish, they like labyrinth fish, which gouramis happen to be labyrinth fish, and bettas are labyrinth fish. Licorice gouramis are, loaches, some of them are. But they're able to go to the top of the water and gulp air. See, that's what that gourami's doing right there. And gulp air. And so it doesn't matter if they're living in a mud puddle with no oxygen in the water. They're okay. And that's why a lot of times they have little feelers and stuff rather than that. Is there a reason you don't have lids on your aquarium? I keep tight lids on mine to reduce the evaporation. Is there a reason for... One, they didn't come with lids. Two, I like aquascapes that feel open, like these ones, like this one here, and the rimless look. And so I do, I feel like it's not necessary to have lids, but it does evaporate a lot in the summer. Now in Seattle, it's not an issue most of the year, honestly. We don't keep our house super hot. What happens when you breed cherry shrimp and blue shrimp? You get brown and gray and tan and yellow shrimp that look kind of nondescript, like shrimp in general. But Eleanor, you're totally right. That's what I was getting to next, is that I like looking down at my fish. I like looking down on them. In here right now, this tank needs a total trimming because you can see everyone's bottleneck. There's too many fish in here. These Danios were rescued from what was left outside, and so now there's too many fish in here. The nitrates aren't bad or anything, but I just feel like they're getting crowded and they're going to get grumpy. Nobody's fins are missing that I can see, or any aggression outwardly like that, but there's also all these baby plecos that were left in here, and they're a pain in the you-know-what to get out because they're quick, but look how big they grow compared to the ones downstairs. This guy's like 1.5 inches, 2 inches long, and you can really see the color in their tail and some marbling on their body, and like he's got like a diamond in the center of his head. That's going to be a male by that shape with the teardrop head. Here's another one. You can really see both sets of fins, and they're getting big in this tank. And that's why I moved the CO2 off of the other tank and over to this tank for now, is to intentionally grow algae and stuff on the glass just to feed those baby plecos. And over here, this tank is a mess. I haven't cleaned the glass in forever. It is a bunch of baby endlers. If you saw my recent video, they unfortunately have wasting disease caused by parasites. Sunken belly, as it's sometimes known. But that poor girl is not getting any nutrients. Only one fish has died. I keep power feeding them. The male, who I care about the most, seems okay, but I'm debating, like, do I want to introduce him to a new tank? Some of the females are okay. Or do I want to play it super safe and not move anybody anywhere because I don't want to bring this to a whole new tank. Um, but yeah, and so oh, there's a real big pleco. Like it's grown out in here from teeny size to that size. Up here, these aren't floating plants that should be floating. I've been not feeling well, and so I haven't kept up with this tank. I feel like that's not that bad. I got one tank that I haven't been keeping up on. Uh, Two, kind of, that one. But I had a friend come over today and was like, "Oh, I love all the fish in that tank," and I'm like, "Well, they're not very happy." Um, all right, guys, you have any questions? I know I kind of stumbled off track on the wildfire thing. I feel like I could do a whole video where I don't get sidetracked. Because when I'm live, I'm like, ooh, look what that fish is doing. Look what that shrimp's doing. I want you guys to check it out with me. But right now, this is the sun. You can look at it. It doesn't hurt your eyes. Everything's orange. It's pretty gnarly out. Smells like you're camping. A lot of people keep coughing and covering their mouths. I saw a lady on the street, and yeah, I saw a lady on the street, and she was smoking a Swisher Sweet, a cigarette, or cigarello, mini cigar. If you don't know what Swisher Sweets are, if you're somewhere else in the world, and she was smoking a Swisher Sweet. And I was like, wow, I'm surprised you want to smoke when it's this hot and stagnant. There's no breeze and smoky out. And she's like, hopefully it'll kill me sooner. Like in this raspy voice. And I was like, oh, well, have a good day. So, to each their own. Yeah, this tank has a whole bunch of blue babies now. The blues are doing better in here than they were downstairs, honestly. They grow faster, they get chased around by fish, and I think they just are more wily. Like this little baby will probably be bigger soon, but if you look carefully, they're like everywhere. Jess, I don't vape. I've tried it and I need to start doing it again because I smoke, I'll admit it, old-fashioned cigarettes. And I started late. I quit drinking alcohol and stopped smoking the pot when it became legal in our state, ironically. I don't have anything against either of them. I just decided that with all my health problems, I needed to stop. And then also just I had some friends die in DUI crashes. Some friends killed themselves who were depressed and into drugs and alcohol and in that same crowd. And so for me, I just kind of stopped alcohol. And then a lot of people were like, oh, you're not my friend, anymore. And yeah, so I realized that a lot of people I thought were my friends were not so much. So, Jess, I think I would need, like 18 or 24 milligram if I was gonna get the e-juice. I don't know. I remember how that works, and I know they've gotten way better at it, but I think I would need the like higher amount of nicotine because even if I don't smoke, like even if I smoke once in a day, like frequently I'll smoke like 3 cigarettes all at once. But usually I'm smoking lately, which is bad. I need to not be doing it. I've been smoking more because I'm stressed, stuck at home, and it's expensive. So I have been like, okay, I can only spend X amount on all forms of entertainment, fish, food, whatever. And then it turns into my friends come by and they're like, hey, dude, I know you like Dr. Pepper and cigarettes. So I brought you some Dr. Pepper and cigarettes. But no, it's something I need to work on. And especially if my wife and I want to have a family, I don't want to really be smoking around the kids ever. And it just, my health, obviously. But at the moment, I'm kind of like, with my health, I'm kind of just like, screw my health. I just got hit by lightning, bring it on, or something like that. which is not good. But you smoke salmon? Yes, thank you, Kirk. Uh, yeah, so I've also been trying. I had a actually. Let me go grab it. I want to recognize him. And I wish I remembered his name. But I had somebody who watches the channel who works for Olio. And it is a CBD company, which is a constituent part of in marijuana. And he gave me some pure CBD, like powder, like a gram of it pure or something. But for pain and calming down nerves, it doesn't get you high, so to speak. It's more like kava or chamomile or valerian, and it's it slows down the pain signals. That's for sure. Like so, it's not so intense and stabby pain. It's more of like a dull. You can get over it and think about stuff later. So I wanted to thank, and I'm spacing on his name because I don't have the card handy. But I wanted to thank that guy who was on the channel who sent me that stuff. That was really kind of you. He sent it from his company. I thought I had his name written down. I have it somewhere, but it just crossed my mind as I was walking by when we were talking about all that. But Betsy, yeah, CBD, if you have anything like Vicodin or stuff like that, like CBD seems pretty weak. But supposedly it's very healing in the long run type of thing. It's not just for treating pain. It actually heals different receptors and it fights against certain things. But in theory, if you've been on stronger medications, like I know like some of you guys on here have chronic issues, it's kind of like giving someone like a cup of coffee when they drink 5 Monster Energy drinks a day, and it's like, yeah, it works great if you've never taken either, like, and it's really mellow and it does this and it's better for you, but it's not gonna like blast through and you're not gonna notice that change quite as heavily. So something to be aware of. And that's true with like fish and stuff too. When you're giving them medications, if they're used to living in ammonia filled water, like, or crappy water with high nitrates, then all the yeah, um, you can get fish to live slowly, transitioning them into crappier and crappier water just by neglecting them, and they will survive in the worst water. Sometimes you would think it would kill, like it will, if you drop a fish in there it will die, but surprisingly, yeah, it doesn't. So yeah, since yours is neurological, I take gabapentin. Narcotics don't work for your pain. Vexing cat. Yeah, gabapentin is very helpful. I've found since the lightning strike that basically, my vinegar eels, that it helps my, the acute, like feeling of like electric jolts, like zings of nerve pain going down all through my body. And then obviously like when I go in and they like give me a shot of whatever it is, like morphine and cortisone into the exact spot in my back that's hurting, that's going to obviously be way more effective than any sort of like little pill or something. So, but can't do that all the time, unfortunately. If I was like uber rich, I'd get through it that way and probably get hooked. But yeah, that's like the only time I've been out of pain since the lightning strike was when they loaded me up with some stuff when I was in there. But yeah, so if we don't have any fish related questions, that's that. Oh, I got a step stool to get rid of the clutter in the chairs. I know this looks insane. This is like gravel, which I was straining, which I had, that then I was getting stuff out of floating it in a bucket, and then I have all my testing stuff, and then the food, and then the breeders, and everybody just got out of the breeders, and it's madness. And my wife deserves me to be less of a cluttered mess mentally and physically. Physically in the house. I suppose I got a belly too, so physically that way. But I got to work on all those things. We all got things we got to work on. The fish don't judge me. They don't judge us, right, guys? So that's why it's always relaxing to watch them. They just do their thing. You set them up for success, and they repay you by existing and, just doing their thing. I want to show you guys real quick. If I swap, and this light bar is literally burning my hand. Ow. Hold on, let's set it here for a sec. You can see how bright the Fluval 3.0 is. That is by far my favorite light that I have, but there's no way I can ever afford to get another one for a long time. I wish I had like 2 more of those. I'd put one here, and that would make this tank like perfectly epic. And then I would also add one upstairs, and then take the lights off the upstairs one and put an actual light here and a light there for those tanks. If I had my dream setup right now. Gareth, best way to, Facebook is a good way to get a hold of me. In the Facebook group, just find me there. Same name as the channel. And like Alan, I've been talking to Alan. He's been texting me and stuff. Alan, that's awesome, dude. Enjoy your Fluval. It sounds hokey, some of the stuff. Like, are you gonna set your tank for Lake Tanganyika versus Lake Victoria, which is like silly. They're pretty close. They're both tropical-ish or equator-ish tanks, and it's hot. I need to splash my face. But yeah, so it's like light modes for those tanks. And it's pretty awesome because if you're spawning fish, you really do need to simulate lighting and seasons. And like to get my plecos and cories to spawn, what I'll do is I'll let their tank water naturally evaporate down like this much. Or this one's better because it'll be next. And then I'll take even some water out of here slowly just so they don't notice. And they know the water pressure's going down. They know it's getting warmer. I'll turn the heat up a little bit to 82 or 3 or 4. And then what I'll do is I'll put in 70 degree water or 65 degree water, which comes out to like 72 or 4 degrees. It's clean, the TDS is low, and the next day you've got eggs, you've got fry, your cories and your plecos are swimming up and down, and they think it was the dry season coming to an end. But light has a lot to do with that. If you're running 14 hours a day of light or something, it doesn't fool them as well, you know? You gotta have the 12 and 12 if they're an equatorial fish, or, 10 and 14, something close. If you run a light, if the moonlight settings and stuff, I've noticed that messes with fish too. So unless you're really trying to replicate a moon cycle, and set it to an actual moon cycle, like just check your calendar and put it on for like a week or two, like around the full moon, because fish know they've got geomagnetic sensing. Most people assume, like salmon that travel, thousands of miles back home, and they obviously can tell out in the wild when everything was pitch black before human lighting. The full moon really lit up the sky, and so it makes a big difference. The no light to ambient light to blue light. And though people, 30 years ago thought that blue light was kind of the ambient starlight kind of thing, it was a gimmick for people more than anything. It's not dialed to any sort of fish realistic fish hopes or expectations of spawning, but my shrimp really do respond to all that. So, Alan, I would love to see what you come up with on that one. And Gareth, I would love to talk to you later. Get a hold of me. If you have the know-how. Okay. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to sign off here. I am getting worn out. Brain's starting to get tired. And I appreciate you guys watching. I want to do a couple shows coming up. My friend Ben was supposed to be here today, and he came by earlier, and he Betsy says I look weird. It's probably my eyes, because my eyes, when I get tired, they don't focus right, and so the pupils aren't moving at the same size like a person who hasn't had wired person who hasn't had the right, hasn't been hit in the head, normal people. But that's why I need a new light. The home rigged LED from years past in Fire Hazard is it flickers. But in any case, thank you guys so much. I'm getting some, eventually I'll get some replacements for stuff that's blown out. Yeah, Gareth, that's what that means here too. So, alright guys, on that note, I kind of wish I was today. I'm just kidding. Thanks for watching the stream. I know it was a little ADD. These streams are always a bit ADD, but I try to teach a little something and listen to you guys and go where you guys want to go. If it's like, let's see this or that, or I have a question about this, then I try to work on that. And then have a theme, and if the theme doesn't get followed, then oh well, as long as we're all still talking and engaging, right? Okay. It kills my like what people pay for ads, because I don't know, it's just like, it's a very niche thing. So I'm glad you guys dig it. More important to me is that we're a community, we're having fun, gets my mind off of bills and how I feel and all that. So alright guys, you have a good night. Take care of yourselves. If it's late night, have a good morning. And I'll talk to you guys later. Oh yeah, hit that like button too on the way out. Don't let that like button hit you on the way out. And Alan, thanks for that super chat, man. You've done a couple, and that's real sweet of you, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. Alright, have a good night, guys. Bye.